morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio, and we are getting towards the end of our look at all the new cards from Explosive Walker, but we've still got a couple of them left, and one of them is Tsareena, and I know Tsareena's a Stage 2. And I know that generally speaking, Stage 2s are awkward, blah, 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 blah. I get it entirely, but that's not the point. I still want to talk about this Tsareena, because this Tsareena could be really good. Like, really quite nice. So starting off with the basics, I should mention our translation does come from the lovely Antoine Boulet, mixed with the lovely Joe over at Cerebi.net. Two of our very favourite people. We like them. And what we see is 150 HP, which sucks. I'm sorry, it's not good. We expect a minimum 160 on our Stage 2s nowadays. We see it on stuff like Empoleon, frankly, ladies and gentlemen, boo, hiss, etc. We've got a weakness to fire, which also really sucks, because Welder decks are everywhere and fire is a terrible weakness to have. And retreat cost of 2 isn't good by any stretch of the imagination, but at least it's got the decency to give us Air Balloon to free retreat, so it could be worse. As for being a grass Pokemon, the good news is we do have options for searching. We got Turffield Stadium to get our evolutions, we've got Netball to get our basics, and of course we've got Rowlet and Alolan Executor, which will let you for 0 energy just, you can pop a Bounsweet on the bench and then just evolve all the way up into a Tsareena to get essentially going second a turn 1 Tsareena, which is really nice. That does make me kinda happy. So at least we got some options there. Because in terms of weakness, you're hitting like Stonejourner VMAX and little else. And in terms of other tricks, you're basically talking about healing with stuff like Life Forest Prism Star. But as I've already mentioned, you've got lower HP than we would generally like. Combined with a bad weakness, healing's not on our mind. But we've got 2 nice attacks here that very much are on our mind, so it could be an awful lot worse. Starting off then, 1 colourless energy. This attack does 20 damage for each basic energy card attached to this Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Oh, that could be nice, ladies and gentlemen. That could be really nice. You see, what you're doing here is basically just trying to snipe the bench and take your opponent out. And that could work. Now, the problem here is it does take quite a lot of energy to get up to it. I mean, if you wanted to take something like a Zacian V off the bench, you would need 11 energy. And you could do it, incidentally. It could be done. But you would need 11 energy, and then when you got 11 energy on there, you'd be sniping for 220, and then you would take them down, and that would be lovely. More realistically, what you're going to want to do is try and take out something like an Inkay, 60 HP, so free energy will do it quite nicely. What it basically does is allow you to take out, and you can hit the active with this attack, but that's really not the point. You almost certainly shouldn't be. That's really not the point here. What the point is that you can take out Pokemon without having to gust. So rather than playing Boss's Orders, it's a reprint of Lysander, as your only supporter for the turn, and then getting a KO on a Pokemon that was previously on the bench, you just KO it while it's still on the bench, using Tsareena. That's the point here. That's what we're trying to do. That's what's working so nicely. And usually it's going to be evolving Pokemon. I mean, something like a Dedenne is often going to be sitting on the bench and will give up 2 prizes when KO'd, but you've also got to have 8 energy attached to get the KO there. It's not terribly realistic. Now, the good news is, it is any basic energy. It does not have to be basic grass. And you can see by looking at the card, the grass symbol is not in there. Now, that's kind of beautiful, because it means you can use basically anything. You can use this in a Welder deck. It is a colourless attack, remember, to attach extra fire energy. You can use it in a Malamar deck to use extra psychic energy. There are plenty of things to be excited about this with. But, generally speaking, we're going to want to use grass, and we're in Rillaboom territory, alright? We're in Rillaboom territory. Gets you an extra 2 energy per turn. And I know we're talking multiple stage 2s, but given that still within grass we've got Meganium, which lets you just evolve a basic into a stage 2, no stage 1, no rare candy, no waiting a turn, just immediately. And you've got your Netball and Turffield Stadium that you can use, and you've got Rowlet and Alolan Executor. There is a legitimate chance you can get multiple stage 2 grass out here, and that could be rather nice. And then if you're sniping for 60 or more every turn, Tsareena's starting to look pretty good. Turn 1, you get free energy, or the first turn, you get free energy on, hit for 60 to the bench, but then the next turn you're hitting 120 to the bench, then 180, and yeah, sooner or later this is going to go down, you're probably not going to want that much energy on there, but it's still hitting the bench, and that's quite nice. But if just taking out weak bench Pokemon isn't doing enough to wreck your opponent's board for your liking, how about the second attack? 2 energy, 100 damage, you may choose 1 energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon and return it to their hand. That's not bad. Now, it's only 1 energy. And what a bunch of you probably are thinking when you look at this is, yeah, Wussy, but it's only 1 energy. And yes, it is only 1 energy. But this is the kind of attack where you go, okay, let's start from there and see where we go, shall we? I mean, first of all, let's say for argument's sake, the card I'm really fond of is Cinderace. It works as a nice example. Cinderace for free energy does 190 and discards 2 energy. And then it's got a retreat cost of 1 and the ability Libero. Once during your turn when you move it from the bench to the active, you attach 2 fire energy from your discard pile to this. So generally what you do with Cinderace is you attack, discard 2 energy, retreat discarding the 3rd, attach from hand, and then move a new one active, putting the 2 energy on from the discard. Well, now, if you take the 3rd energy from that Cinderace and put it into their hand, now all of a sudden they're not able to retreat. And if they retreat trying to use an energy, then they don't get to attach an energy from their hand to the Cinderace that's on the bench, which is coming up next turn. That's just an example of the kind of thing that could be used here quite nicely. But what we could do is we could start combining this. We could start using Team Yell Grunt, which, well, Team Yell Grunt just takes an energy attached to one of your opponent's Pokemon and puts it back into their hand. And that might only be 1 energy, but actually now with this and Tsareena, it's 2 energy. And then maybe you play a little bit of Crushing Hammer, and then every head you hit is another energy. And maybe getting rid of 1 energy isn't enough. Maybe getting rid of 2 isn't really enough. But a lot of the time, getting rid of 3 probably is. And most of the time, getting rid of 2 definitely will be. And that's where Tsareena comes in here. It's not the fact that you're getting rid of an energy. It's the fact that you're getting rid of an energy when we're in a format where we actually have a bunch of other options for getting rid of energy. And what you're actually doing is combining this together into getting rid of multiple energy. And then we're rolling. What I find really interesting here is that this attack is literally exactly the same. Okay, it's 1 grass, 1 colourless, but you know what I mean. As Inteleon's attack. The Inteleon without the ability that came out in Sword and Shield, 1 coloured, 1 colourless energy, 100 damage, you may put an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon into their hand. And this Tsareena, 1 coloured, 1 colourless energy, 100 damage, you may put an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon into their hand. The question is whether you'd rather have 1 colourless energy, 40 damage, and discard a card from their hand, or 1 colourless energy, 20 to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each basic energy attached to it. I also think that in consistency terms, it's better to be a grass Pokemon, but then again, in terms of hitting for weakness, and having weakness, it is definitely better to be a water Pokemon right now. I like the fact that we got 2 attacks here, which can kind of ruin your opponent's day and be kind of disruptive, so I'm going to go ahead and give this 3 Wossies. Maybe it will be destined to be a bit of a rogue deck, a bit of an under-the-radar deck, a bit of a league deck, but the fact of the matter is we've got 2 attacks here which could be very fun at wrecking your opponent's board, and that alone makes me kind of happy. But this is the point where I want to know what you think about this card, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, or you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassyPlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are pretty gosh darned awesome nonetheless. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.